Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a randomly generated hypnosis session based on variables that I have an idea of what they're going to be, but not know specifically. So a destination, 3 nouns and 2 emotions, plus a randomly generated hypnotic language pattern. And all these ingredients are going to fuse together to create a hypnosis session in real time, live, so no preparation. So if you're listening on YouTube, you'll now see that I'm sharing my screen. So let's do this. Here we go. So let's spin this element here. So this is a place called Chelyabinsk in Russia. This is known for shopping, and it's written in Russian, so I can't really pronounce that. Let's have a look here. Okay, there is forest climbing, so you can climb from the pine trees. There is many lakes, so it's very rural, very mountainous, and yeah, it looks like a very, kind of natural kind of place. So we're gonna visit this particular place. I'm gonna get some more information on that to kind of help with this particular session, right? And then the 3 random nouns is ranch, hallway, and error. So if I'm thinking about a ranch, I'm thinking about almost kind of like an American style farmhouse. So the main building that is kind of located on a farm. Hallway generally is a passageway that connects rooms. So it really isn't a room in itself, but it connects rooms. We might be able to use that as a metaphor for this particular hypnosis session. And then error. An error in terms of could mean a mistake, or it could mean a code problem. So if the code that goes in doesn't produce the result, quite often that's an error. You can have grammatical errors, syntax errors, quite often mistakes or problems we can think of when it comes to errors. And then let's generate 2 unique emotions. We have terror and passion. Terror and passion. So terror, extreme form of fear, and passion, a highly resourceful state that gets people very, very resourceful and motivated. So we're going to use all of these together, and then the language pattern card. So I only have about 20 or so of these left. So we've done over 30 different language patterns so far. This is the 3rd of spades, and is the phrase, I wonder when. I'm going to read this out for you. This is a different way of using the irresistible concept of wondering. Instead of wondering if something will happen, you're wondering when it will happen. This is a presupposition and is very powerful. Here's the example. So I wonder when you'll add this technique to your hypnosis. I wonder when. So wonder, taps into a form of imagination. People tend to create an internal representation of whatever it is that you're wondering. So wondering when something, again, it links into that presupposition. So in many ways you can call it a post-hypnotic suggestion, but it's kind of embedded. It's not a direct, you will do this, but more, I wonder when you'll feel a desire to pursue your life in the way that you want, or something like that. So we're going to infuse that into this hypnosis session. I have my sound timer here, so it's going to be about 15 minutes long, and find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation, and as you exhale, just get a sense that tension, stress, worries are leaving your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, if it's safe to do so, on the next outward breath, allow your eyelids to close. And as they close, notice that you're able to feel more relaxed. And I wonder when you will drift into a lovely state known as hypnosis. I wonder when the tension in your neck and your shoulders starts to melt away. And I wonder when you can really relax the muscles around your eyebrows and around your eyes, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed now. As your body relaxes, I want you to imagine that you're able to harness the power of your imagination to visit anywhere in the world. And I want you to imagine a place in Russia, not one of the major cities like Moscow, but something more in nature. I want you to get a sense that there is a city surrounded by mountains and forests. And I want you to imagine that you're in that city. A city known as Chelyabinsk. I want you to find yourself there in that city, perhaps surrounded by those large churches with the interesting steeples, the ornate facades. And I want you to imagine that the city represents a bustling mind, intrusive thoughts, lots of things that you're thinking about, ideas jumping from one to the other. And I want you to imagine you're leaving the city, going out into the forests and the mountains, and as you leave the city, notice that your mind starts to quieten. If the city represents a busy, bustling mind, then nature represents a quiet mind. And I wonder when you'll arrive in the forests and the mountains that you then notice any internal dialogue or random thoughts have started to quiet down, and you can give more of your attention to the sound of my voice. I want you to imagine it's a summer's day there in the forest and the mountains. In fact, the specific place where the forest meets the mountains. Imagine climbing the mountain and looking over the forest, perhaps seeing the city off in the distance, and just getting a sense that you have a unique perspective on everything around you. If the city is your busy mind and nature is your quiet mind, from this perspective, you can get a sense of all of those significant things that you're thinking about, or have the ability to think about? What occupies space in your mind? Somewhere not too far away in the forest, I want you to see a large ranch, a big farmhouse. Maybe it's a ranch that belongs to a forester that manages the forest. I want you to get a sense that the trees in the forest are resources, and the ranch is where planning takes place as to what resources need to be utilized. These impressive large pine trees represent amazing resources that you have within your unconscious mind. Maybe one tree represents resilience. Another tree represents discipline or motivation. But somewhere in the forest, you can see a large dead tree. And while this tree is still upright, no other tree can grow in its place. This tree represents a cause of fear or terror in your life. I want you to imagine going into the ranch and picking up a chainsaw and then visiting this old dead tree. I want you to imagine that you're chopping this tree down, hearing the crash as it falls down into the forest. And I want you to get a sense that when we face our fears, when we confront our terrors, there is a fine line between fear and fascination, a fine line between those things that terrify us and those things that are a source of passion and enthusiasm. I want you to imagine that there is now space in the forest where this tree of terror has now fallen. You will allow nature to degrade and take anything from this tree that the soil needs, knowing that soon in the future a new tree will be able to grow in the space where the old tree was. And I wonder what would happen if we planted a seed that would grow a tree that would be a source of passion for you. Imagine going back into the ranch. And in the ranch there are many different rooms. Imagine walking down a hallway and finding a room, and this room contains everything that at one point in your life you were passionate and enthusiastic about. Maybe there's sports and hobbies that you can see in this room, people or topics, things you used to love learning about, things you used to do entirely for fun. And the error that people make is they feel that just because something used to give them a source of passion and joy, that it can't do that again in the future. So let's correct that error of judgment. And I want you to look around in this room connected to the hallway and seek inspiration of what could be a source of joy and passion in your life again. What hobby can you revisit? What sport can you start playing again? What people did you used to have amazing conversations with? And could you reconnect with them or people like them? What goal could you set that would light you up inside and rekindle that flame of passion? Maybe it's a person, maybe a romantic partner. Maybe there's things in this room that remind you of a passion that once was there. Maybe pictures of moments from your past, and I wonder, when you'll be able to take inspiration from the past and use it as an opportunity to build something for the future. I want you to find one thing in this room that you know that if you planted that seed and took the action required to nurture that intention, you know that you would have more passion in your future. Maybe it's a picture, an object, something else, memorabilia. Take that thing, walk back down the hallway of the ranch, and go to that same spot where that old tree that represented fear and terror is no longer there, and bury that object knowing that it is a seed that will turn into a new tree, a tree that will provide the fruit of incredible memories and moments in your future, fueled by the spirit of passion, enthusiasm, and joy. There is no obligation here. And I wonder when this tree starts to take root, you will experience more passion in your life. I wonder when you will have more joy in your life. And I wonder just how quickly, now that you've reconnected with a historical source of passion, I wonder when this new passion will revisit your life. Have a glimpse into your future and see a future version of yourself living life with more passion directly as a result of a seed that was planted here and now, that created a chain of events that enabled you to do something consistently that gave you a source of pride, pleasure, and joy. And just know, this could either be a fantasy or a premonition. The only difference between the two is whether or not you support this intention with actions and decisions to turn this wishful thinking into reality for you. And I have a feeling that you will back up this source of passion with action, because why wouldn't you? There are certain things you can't have too much of, and a future filled with passion and joy is one of those things that you can't have too much. And then you realize that this forest, the mountains, the ranch, and the tree are all just thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, dreams within dreams. And then you return to the present, leaving this countryside of Russia and returning to your body in the present right now. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, all parts returning to the present as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. And when I count to 10, I wonder when you will start to take the actions required to increase the amount of passion in your life. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.